Hello again, guys. My name is Kevin Walker. I'm a pitching coach for the Portland Sea Dogs, the AA affiliate of the Boston Red Sox. This is my fourth video, and this week's topic is going to be on client referral or client termination in regards to services. I'm kind of going to base it a little bit different. I'm going to talk about my one-on-one consultation that I had with a client, and I kind of based it on the one-on-one consultations that we were doing throughout the week of in this course. My client his name is, we're going to use is Laz, and he was a major league outfielder that started to have some struggles. Was sent down to the minor leagues, continued to have struggles there, found himself in a hole. Had a tough time getting out of it, continued to fight, and the more that he tried, the more that he struggled. So he called upon me to try to get back to the big leagues, but he didn't have a plan. More so, he was just mentally drained. So the sessions that we had were the one-on-one consultations each week, just trying to help him get back to a positive mindset. And it's kind of like to discuss how those sessions went, and really talk about at the end where we're at right now in regards to terminating services. The big thing for Laz, and the thing that worked best for us, was the empathy that I showed, being a former major league player, going through the struggles, the ups and downs. Laz really bought into that. And I think that was the very first thing that really caught his attention and really started to buy into what I had to say. That was the biggest thing for both of us. Me knowing how to deal with all the struggles that he had, and knowing what they were, and for him being able to relate to somebody that's already been through that. So for the first few weeks during our sessions, we talked about some things, and the one thing that stood out with Laz is he was a very negative guy. He made it to the big leagues at a very young age, just super talented. When he got to the big leagues, he started to face some adversity and didn't really know how to handle it. Hasn't really been tested that much. So when he got sent back down to the minor leagues, he's had a tough time. Very negative thinking. Every time he'd have a bad game or a bad at-bat, he would put himself down. He would really hammer himself. And it just became a downward spiral from there. So he came to me looking for some answers and looking for some help. And the one things that I tried to talk to him about were just positive self-talk. Really thinking about changing the way he was thinking. Instead of beating himself up over a bad at-bat, it was looking at it in a different way. We talked about visualization. And this is the one thing that the first thing we tried was giving him some mental imagery skills to go home at night and just visualize, having a positive mindset. Visualize being up at the plate and having good swings and seeing the ball really clear and taking good passes at it. He struggled with mental imagery for a while. It took him about a week and a half to 2 weeks during our consultations. I could tell that he continued to talk to me about having tough times with that. But as he continued to do it, he started to really see the benefits of it. And I could tell in his voice, I could see the positive, upbeat, the energy in his voice when he started to get the click of those mental imagery and actually seeing it play out in real life. I could see it, the spark in him, and see him change. Another big thing that we talked about was reframing, or reframing the situation. I like to call it changing your story. He was stuck in this story of just, poor me, why is this happening to me? I mean, it was the same kind of dialogue that he kept saying to himself over and over and over. And after a while, he started to believe it. And we talked about reframing the situation. Start defining yourself right now. You don't have to define yourself from the past. Define yourself starting today. And we started to talk about that a little bit, about what he wanted to do, what he wanted to accomplish, where he wanted to be today, tomorrow, in 2 weeks. And he started to set small goals for himself, which really helped him out. But it was reframing that situation and started to see things in a different light. He started to see himself waking up in the morning with a positive outlook on life, a positive outlook on how he was going to go about his day, his daily routines, looking at him at a good way, trusting the process. All these things came together for him to just really look forward to having the day that he'd be proud of instead of a day that he dreaded. And that was the big thing for him. He was dreading these days. We were trying to make him look into a situation where he was looking forward to the day and looking forward to working throughout the day and looking forward to that competition at night. And you know, talking to Laz, and as the weeks went on, he bought into reframing probably more than the visualization we talked about. He really liked that reframing idea because he actually liked the fact that he could define himself, or he could change his story now and not let the past couple months really dictate who he was. But as we talk about going into termination, or if I need to refer him to someone else, I'll be honest with you, I believe Laz, within 6 weeks of our consultations, was where he needed to be, and he really didn't need my services anymore. For the last week or so, we've still continued to talk, but I think more so it was just to talk, just to kind of listen to how things are going. He really didn't need my help anymore, and you know, I talked to him last week, and I really told him I think it was time for us to part ways and move on. He's done a great job with it. Laz agreed with me somewhat. He was still a little bit on the fence with really wanting to just completely let go. He wanted to still continue to talk to me, you know, just in case something came up. But for me, as a consultant, I didn't think it was fair, because in my mind, I thought that what we talked about, the plan we set out at the very beginning, the tools and techniques that we were talking about, he was doing a very good job with them. He was understanding them. He knew them really well. He knew the meaning of them, and he applied them really well. I could just tell as the weeks went on by with our conversations that he got it, and he had the toolbox necessary in case some things popped up, some negativity came in, or some bad slumps came in. He had the toolbox ready to combat those things. I don't think it was fair for me to continue on rehashing the same old techniques to him once he already knows. That's not. I don't like doing business that way. I think you know, for him and for me alone, it was time to move on, and we'll continue to have conversations once every couple weeks or something of that nature, just to see how things are going, seeing if his tools and techniques are still working for him and things of that nature. But for the most part, this is the week where we kind of wrapped up everything, discussed how things were going. But as for Laz and for him to move on, this week was our last conversation. We talked about kind of the whole timeline of our weeks for 7 straight weeks of talking, and we kind of reflected on where he started and how far he's come now. But just hearing his attitude, and just hearing the energy and positivity in his voice from the first conversation we had till now, it made me proud as a consultant to see, you know, that I could have an effect on someone in that short amount of time. I'm proud of him. He continues to work. He's continuing to play really well. One thing he does know is there are going to be adversity, especially with baseball. There's going to be times where he's going to struggle. But I think this 6 weeks has been a solid 6 weeks that I've equipped him with some really good tools. He's hammered home on how to do it. He's got the toolbox now. He's ready to go. He's ready to move forward. And for me, I think that 6 weeks was a really good time frame. We got a lot accomplished. And talking to him, it's time to go ahead and let him move on and take it from there. But I want to say thank you guys for listening to me for these last 4 videos. I think this is the last week of class. It's been an awesome class. It's been a grind, but once again, all you guys take care and good luck. Thank you.